So the Course is wanting us to understand that we have an incredible amount of power at our disposal. The creator of not just the world, but the universe is at our disposal, waiting for us to make use of it. How do we make use of it? We need to begin to get to know it. Because how can you use what you don't know? And how do you begin to use what God is? You begin to look at how you block it. So as you begin to learn that God is love, if you're having fear, you're blocking love. If you know that we're one and you're seeing others and you're upset and you're angry with somebody that you think is a special person, then you don't know what God is. In that moment, you're blocking God. If you are looking at, you go to a funeral, you hear of the death and it really upsets you because, oh my gosh, you'll never see that person again. You don't know what God is because you're looking at them from the perspective of the body and time. They've hit their expiration date. Then you don't know what God is. So that requires a lot of training of the mind to accept our eternalness, to get to the place that we get comfortable, that we're really grander than what we thought we are. We're grander than what we ever have been conditioned to believe that we are. So we are literally moving through this shift in consciousness to accept that we are powerful beyond measure. And if the experiences that we're having, we don't like them, it's not the experience out there that is the issue, it's our perception of the experience. And our perception of the experience comes either from God, our upper chakras, or it comes from our immature child, our lower chakras. That ego is formed with that immature thinking. So we have to do the work of unpacking these ideas, these thoughts, these beliefs that we have that give us a perception about the world. We don't trust God because we didn't trust our parents. We really didn't. We cannot love God because we were not taught unconditional love. We were taught conditional love. We cannot be open to knowing something different because when we didn't know things when we were in school, we got in trouble and we got punished. So to admit that we don't know what we don't know feels like a punishment. And as a child, the punishment for not knowing was really devastating. We were not taught that not knowing something just meant that, okay, we got to try again. We got to figure out another way. And so there's a lot of things that need to change in the school systems, in the medical systems, in the political system, because every one of those systems is made up of people who operate with an ego. Okay? So there's not a bunch of, Republicans over there. There's a bunch of people with belief systems that have them think that way. So it's not about get rid of the Republicans or get rid of the Democrats. It's about those are individual people who think a certain way. And everybody has to do this inner work to change their perception so that they can then be the change that we want to see in the world. And it starts with us right here. So let me say something about the ego. We've got to get really clear. The ego is just thoughts. It's thoughts that block love. It's thoughts that block truth. That's all that it is. Our work, our grandest, greatest, most important work is to get familiar with what we're thinking. Once we know what we're thinking, then we can begin to do the work of tracing the thought to where it came from. So I'll give you an example. When my dad left and I was 10 years old, I had the thought of abandonment. Before that, I never felt abandonment. But this child that I was felt rejected because Dad left. So I began to develop this system. I mean, it's like a switch went off. Dad leaves the family, we don't see him again, and I all of a sudden went from being a free-flowing child to this clingy little child. That's because I was in survival mode. I didn't want people leaving me. That was really painful because I thought it was all about me. It's funny, I had a get-together with my sisters. The four of us got together a couple of years ago, and we were talking about our perceptions about what happened when Dad left. And I think I started the conversation. I said, oh, it was my fault, because I heard I was not a boy when I was born, and I was a disappointment. And my other sister goes, no, I thought it was my fault. And then the other one goes, no, it was because of me. And then the fourth one is like, I always thought it was my fault. So here the four of us, in our own immature child's mind, created an idea of we were the problem. And every one of us went on to become adults that had dysfunctional relationships because we did not understand. We had perceptions about what men did. You know, once dad leaves, mom is basically letting us know, you don't need a man, can't trust a man. Well, guess what idea was in my mind when I entered into my adult partnerships? I don't need you. But please don't leave me. But I don't need you. Don't abandon me. But I don't need you. So can you imagine the craziness, total conflict in my mind? Because everything in the ego mind changes, it changes, but it bounces back and forth. That's how the ego keeps us off track. It moves us from positive to negative, pleasure and pain. It's a pendulum, and however far it goes one way, it has to go the other. So we have to understand that everything that changes is in the world of the ego. Everything that is changeless, because it's eternal, is in the world of God. So we have to take an inventory. When I began to look at my adult relationships, it's because I was questioning my beliefs. Why am I doing this again? Traced it down to the point of origin. Well, when I was 10 years old, I picked up these patterns. My fear that I'm not who I am is not okay. I traced it down to when I was born. I was a girl, not a boy. So, you know, you grow up hearing these stories. They get into your psyche. So that's why an immature child is taking information and creating a misperception. The Course is really clear. Our ego is nothing more than thoughts that are not true. None of those thoughts were true about me. Why? Because God created me perfect. There was nothing wrong with me. Just because my dad in his ego mind was disappointed that I wasn't a boy because he had an idea of what he had set an expectation, and I did not meet his expectation because he was operating out of, well, a son would make me feel good and important, and that's how I passed my name on. Did God decide that? No, that's human conditioning. So his human conditioning, I was the experience of that conditioning, disappointment. So the Course is letting me know these are thoughts that I can question. When I question those thoughts and I see that they are just misperceptions, they're made up ideas that block me from knowing the truth, then I've got to go to the forgiveness process. So I'm going to give you the very simple forgiveness process that is what was shown to me when I'm getting my guidance. Forgiveness is nothing more than the recognition that I forgot my truth. So when I forgive myself for forgetting truth. That's all it is. Because when you look at the word forgive, let me see. If you look at the word forgive, remember last week we were talking about words, right. You begin to play with them. So the word forgive is very simple. If you take it and you divide it, so I forgive myself for forgetting that I came here for what? To give love. So to forgive is to remember that love is for giving it. So my forgiveness to myself is to remind myself to begin to give love. So forgiveness is me giving me love. Because when I decided Dad abandoned me, guess what I did? The energy of love that I suppressed it. I'm only going to dole it out if you're special, which is already conditional. So all my love could not go to anybody because I wasn't going to let him have it all. Why? Because I don't even know that I had that much love to give. Because I had other thoughts that told me that who I wasn't okay. And I was never raised to believe that I was the presence of the energy of love. Ever. Were you told that you're energy and you're love? So the forgiveness process is really simple. Once you begin to unravel those beliefs and you go to the point of origin, I forgave myself for forgetting that I'm the presence of love. Why? Because I began to believe that I was something other than what I am. because I trusted these adults who were giving me information. And when my mother, my father, my teacher, my preacher, the government, the media, people of authority give me information, I begin to not listen to the voice of authority in me. So the Course in Miracles says that we have one problem, and one problem only, and it is the authority problem. We have misplaced the authority. We have placed it on external sources and forgot to give it to the Creator. We should only have one authority, and it is God. It is love. So if we're not listening to what love is telling us, if we're not operating from love in any given moment, we've made up our own authority, which is, I'm having a thought about you, I'm having a thought about me, and because I'm protecting myself, I'm going to make you special. Oh, government, you make me feel secure? You're special, you're my new authority. Oh, now you're not making me secure? Well, you're my special hate now, I don't like you as my authority. But wait, I already voted for you, so you do have my authority, because I think I gave it to you. So we have misplaced our authority, and the reason this journey takes a while is because so many of our authority figures were people that we trusted. We trusted Grandma when Grandma said, you got to cut half the ham off. And we trusted Grandma, we trusted Grandpa when they told us that this is the right religion. We trusted Mom when Mom said, you don't need a man. We trusted Dad when Dad said, you got to work really hard. You got to get a degree. You got to become, this, that, or the other. We trusted those people. We trusted the teacher when the teacher said, this is what you need to learn to be able to be somebody in the world. So we have trusted figures that were authority figures, that this journey is a journey of having to face. You look at your beliefs, you question where they came from, and then you have to face the person who gave you that belief and say, this might have worked for you, but it's too small for me. It doesn't fit me. It doesn't work for me. If my grandfather gave me his outfit to wear, I would have said, I don't want that hand-me-down. My grandfather was like 6'2". It wouldn't have fit me. But I took on his beliefs. So we got to get as picky about our beliefs as we are picky about our clothes, and decide to only believe what fits. And to find out what fits, you got to start picking beliefs from the category that are real. This is reality. The Course says nothing real can be threatened. When we come to know what we are, we're moving from believing we are vulnerable in the world, that others can hurt us. We're coming to a place of little by little claiming our invulnerability. So this is a journey of coming back inside to feel our power, and to come back to feel your power, we are going to have to look at all of these things that appear to scare us. And when I say appear to scare us, it's because that's all that they do. They appear to scare us. Once you look at those beliefs and while you're in the middle of that fear, and you feel that energy beginning to turn, and it's moving, and it's moving, and it's moving, our work is to become so aware that we can stand as the presence of awareness behind the energy. When that energy is turning, we're caught up in it. But when you begin to say, no, I'm not going to react, then that you literally, it's like you take a step behind the energy. You become the presence of awareness, aware of your reaction, aware of your thoughts. You begin to become resensitized to what's happening inside, and you observe it. This is where meditation is so powerful, having a practice that allows you to be the observer. When you begin to observe that, and you are aware of what's moving, this is very uncomfortable, but you sit with that anger and you ask that anger, what is this about? What is this really about? Well, I'm angry that so-and-so didn't invite me to the party. Okay, so tell me more. And before you know it, you're going to go to a moment in time when you were 5 years old and you didn't get invited to a birthday party. And then you're going to realize, oh wow, I felt left out then, but I didn't have a parent who told me that's not about you, sweetie. They can only invite so many people. Financially they cannot afford it, or you thought you were a closer friend, but you're not really. That's okay. Let's go and we'll create your own party here. We didn't have an adult who helped us process that in the moment so we could have dropped that energy there. We carried it with us. And here's where this illusion really begins to make sense. If you're only thinking with the past, trying to hedge your bets for the future, the illusion is that everything that scares us is really not happening now. What we're dealing with are thoughts in our mind, thoughts that are made up. They're beliefs that we picked up and we agree to, but these are just thoughts and movement inside of us that when we stop agreeing with it, it dissolves. Has anybody here ever had a fear that you transcended? Okay. So could you say today that that fear is real? Can you show me that fear? Where is it? You can't. And the reason it's an illusion is because it's like a smoke screen. And just because there is a cloud does not mean that the sun is not on the other side. And we've got to get comfortable that ego thoughts are like clouds blocking our memory that the sun is always there. And when you focus on the cloud, you give the cloud power. So our work is to realize that ego is nothing more than thoughts.